One of the biggest buzzwords surrounding web design these days is responsive design. If you're unaware of what responsive design is, think of it this way. The web is a constantly moving target. As designers, we're constantly inundated with new devices and screens that we have to account for. Therefore, it's much easier for us to design one layout which, quote-unquote, responds to a given screen size versus creating several layouts for each size that we're trying to target. Setting up a responsive layout is very easy in programs like Illustrator and Fireworks, which support multiple pages and artboards at different sizes. Photoshop, however, is much different. There's no such thing as a, quote, responsive PSD file, and the closest thing we have to pages are layer comps, so we have to be creative. In my experience, there's only really one acceptable way on how to design for a responsive layout inside of Photoshop. This requires you to create a separate PSD for each target screen size that you're trying to hit. Therefore, if you wanted a desktop, tablet, and mobile phone version of a site, you would create 3 separate PSD files to accommodate that. As you can see, I have 3 documents open now. One for the desktop, one for mobile, and one for a tablet. Each design shares things like colors, navigation, and graphics, but they're all set to different sizes and arranged in different ways which makes sense for the given platform for which they're being designed. You might find this method to be quite tedious, and really it is, but it is a surefire way to account for each individual screen size that you're trying to target in your design. Let's take a look at these templates now. I'll start with the desktop version, and on the desktop version you'll see that I'm using a unified color palette that goes across all the different designs that I have, the orange and the dark gray and so forth. I have a header that stretches all the way across the top, with a logo flush left and the navigation to the right. I have big content in the middle with thumbnails and some lorem ipsum text beneath it. I also have a footer at the bottom. I carry over this same theme to the tablet document as well. Inside of the tablet document, you'll see here that the logo has shifted upward to give more room for the navigation. I have to keep the navigation at a larger size because on a tablet it needs to be quote-unquote touch-friendly. Then underneath that, the content still remains large. I don't have any of the text beneath there though because I wanted to leave enough room for all of the content to be displayed. Again, it has to be a touch-friendly interface because most tablets are finger gesture machines. The footer is larger as well. That's going to accommodate for larger links, buttons, and widgets that I might need to include at the bottom. Finally, let's jump over into the mobile document. You'll see the mobile document is extremely different from the other two. That's because the mobile document assumes that I'm looking at this on a smaller mobile device screen, like a phone. Here I have a header with the logo. The logo takes up a large portion of this so that it's easily visible. Directly underneath that, I have the navigation, styled going vertically as opposed to horizontally. Again, this is to accommodate a touch-friendly interface. And then finally at the bottom, the content is arranged much the same way it was on the other layouts, but again, I've designed it so that it's touch-friendly. The footer is almost non-existent in this layout, but I could extend it a little bit further and just force the user to scroll with their finger. As I said, there are other programs which handle this much better, including Fireworks and Illustrator, but in my opinion, this is the best way to target individual screen sizes utilizing Photoshop documents. So when you try to plan out your next responsive design, build a library of common assets that you can share across multiple designs like logos, headers, and navigational components, and then insert those into the various sizes and rearrange and size them accordingly.